Hello everyone, this is Kestrel Raptorial. Well, as I've been making discussion videos about the short stories written for the Legend of the Five Rings fantasy world, relaunched just last year during Gen Con 50, and yes, there will be one this year, which reminds me, I still have to buy my badge. As I mentioned during the relaunch panel, the short fictions were one of my favorite things about the Legend of the Five Rings game, and seeing that I also play Magic the Gathering, which just last fall through ongoing, came out with expansion sets dedicated to dinosaurs, finally! Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan. I thought I'd also make videos talking about the Magic the Gathering short stories, which you can read on... I'll link. So here is the page where you can see the story fictions. And we're going to scroll down to the one I started reading, The Flood. This story follows Kumena, a merfolk shaman, as he awakens the city of Orazca and the planeswalker Jace, as Jace's memory returns in an unrelenting torrent. The featured card for the story is Flood of Recollection, which in the game requires tapping 2 blue mana to play, and lets you return 1 instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. It's a good card for a deck that uses non-creature spells relatively often, but in one that doesn't, it's more likely to not be worth a spot in your deck, or at least only keep 1 or 2. Now, for this video, we're only going to get through Kumena's story, because by the time I put this all together, it's really late at night. So, this story follows Kumena, a merfolk shaman, as he awakens the city of Orazca and the planeswalker Jace, as Jace's memory returns in an unrelenting torrent. The featured card for the story is Flood of Recollection, which in the game requires tapping 2 blue mana to play, and lets you return 1 instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. It's a good card for a deck that uses non-creature spells relatively often, but in one that doesn't, it's more likely to not be worth a spot in your deck, or at least only keep 1 or 2. Now, for this video, we're only going to get through Kumena's story, because by the time I put this all together, it's really late at night. So, we open with Kumena as he is nearing the lost golden city of Orazca in Ixalan. He is being pursued by many enemies, and soon comes to a golden outcrop jutting out from and overlooking a gigantic waterfall. The illustration of this scene is titled Kumena, Tyrant of Orazca, artwork by Tyler Jacobson. Why he is referred to as a tyrant will hopefully be explained, as he's just now stumbled upon the city that is the resting place of the immortal sun. He dives into the water. The river the waterfall feeds into flows into an immense canyon that dwarfs even the vast golden city itself. He explores the perimeter until he finds the entrance to Orazca, a massive staircase with a great golden archway at the top. And here we can see in this artwork by Titus Lunter that Orazca is significantly Inca-inspired, at least in its architecture, as well as taking inspiration from the legend of the Golden City El Dorado. However, Kumena is not interested in gold. He is looking for the immortal sun. He hears a whisper that says, "Come set me free. I am the sun, Kumena. As you will be, follow." Meaning, follow the voice. He finds himself at the entrance to a labyrinth. I quote from the story itself. "Serpentine corridors of stone and gold, meandering off into the distance. Kumena entered the labyrinth and walked steadily, in a meditative trance, following the call of the immortal sun around every twist and turn. With every step his power grew, every surface was limned in brilliant light. The word limned, as you can see if you go to the story on the Magic the Gathering site, it's an odd word. I was thinking it was either it was a typo, was supposed to be either illuminated or lined in brilliant light. Limn. It is actually a word, and it has two different meanings. One is depicted or described in painting or words. The other is highlighted with a bright color or light, and I think as it's used in the story it means the second, the latter. So it means every surface was highlighted in bright light. He finds the immortal sun, which turns out to be a curious stone. Here is the card version. Kumena raises the golden city of Orazca from its slumber. Its creatures stir and roar, and the battle begins. Kumena is confronted by a vampire who appears before him, and he laughs. "One conquistador is no match for me," he says, and the vampire asks, "How about two? What say you, Mavrin Fane?" And the Hierophant is basically an interpreter of religious and arcane lore. Mavrin says, "I say the butcher of Megan is right in the eyes of the church, to cleanse that which stands in her way." Since when do churches align with vampires? Although the Ixalan booster sets are interesting in that vampires, while not shown to be good vampires, do have a lot of healing and white magic abilities. That's unique and interesting. We'll see where the stories go with that. I personally am far more interested in Ixalan's dinosaurs, to, I'm sure, no one's surprise. Kumena is rushed by two vampires, and his part in the story cuts off here for the time being. It's a cliffhanger halfway through this story, The Flood, and the next part will follow the characters Jace and Vraska.